everyone, and welcome to the RV Inspection and Care podcast and video. I'm Dwayne. I'm a certified RV inspector, and today we're going to be talking about full-time RVing. Is it the lifestyle that's best for you personally? Of course, lots of people had that dream of traveling in an RV all across the country, enjoying a fun and generally carefree lifestyle. Well, we have been full-time RVing for a little over 5 years now. Yes, we've seen a lot of the United States, a lot of the individual states out there, made lots of lasting, wonderful memories, had great experiences. But we have also learned that full-time RVing comes with its own unique set of challenges. The first thing you need to understand is that full-time RVing is not always the fun adventure that many online content creators try to make it seem to be. It's just not that way. But then again, it's also not the opposite of that, where there's constant drama and problems and issues going on. No, it's not like that either. Those content creators are just trying to get you to watch their videos, and it's kind of clickbaity. But what I'm going to share with you now is actually the truth as we have experienced full-time RVing in these 5 years. And I'm going to try to give you the most important things you need to know about it. The first thing we're going to start with is RVs themselves, because a large part of your life is going to revolve around the RV you own. And you have to understand that RVs are not like your house. A house is going to require some upkeep and maintenance, for sure. But RVs, they require constant attention, maintenance, repairs. There's something going wrong on an RV all the time when you're always traveling. You're putting that RV on the road and shaking it a lot, and things just loosen up and don't work as well. So understand that there are going to be some areas that you travel through where repair techs are not as common as other areas. In fact, in remote areas, it can be really hard to find someone who can work on a problem on your RV. But even if you're in an urban area, there's so many service techs and facilities there, lots of RVs for them to work on. And the truth is, it's not easy to get things repaired in a timely fashion there either. And the cost. Well, RV techs are getting very often $150 to almost $200 an hour for their labor charges. And that mounts up really fast. So repairing RVs can be very expensive. Here's what I recommend. It's really best if you can learn how to work on RVs somewhat yourself. And that way you can save a lot of money by doing that. Because honestly, 80% or so of the things that do go wrong on RVs can be handled successfully by the average RV owner if they just have a little bit of guidance on what to do. And these days, YouTube has plenty of information about almost any kind of repair that you need to make on an RV. Next up about RVs is understand they depreciate fast. When you buy that RV, don't expect it to keep its value. It's not going to go up like real estate, that's for sure. And understand that that value of your RV will be dropping year after year after year, and you need to figure that in your budget. The final thing we'll talk about with regard to RVs is the small space involved, the living space. It may be fine for you for maybe weekends and vacations and things like that. But the question you need to ask is, can you live in that small space day in and day out for the foreseeable future? It's a good question that you need to ask and determine. All right, let's move away from RVs. Let's talk next about relationships. it can be a lot harder to develop and then maintain relationships with other people when you're in a full-time RV lifestyle. The truth is you can meet a lot of people as you go around, but you're like ships in the night. You just pass each other. It's hard to stay in touch with one another. Believe it or not, for some people who are people persons, they can actually feel very lonely on the road. Now, if you're a solitary kind of person, that may work very well for you. But if you're a people person, it can be a real challenge. Understand that. And I recommend to do some research before you start the full-time lifestyle to figure out how to develop and maintain relationships while you go on the road. Next up is understand that a lot of the time you're going to be spending while you're full-time RVing is not going to be like a vacation. Instead, a lot of the time is going to be taken up on daily living, the very things you're still involved in right now. You've got to wash dishes, wash your clothes, clean the RV. You've got to do errands. If you're working for a living to keep money coming in, well, that's going to take a good amount of time. The sad truth is that some full-time RVers find out they actually have less time for fun and adventure when they went on the road full-timing. So again, this is something to be aware of as a challenge, and try to figure out ways that you can schedule in time to enjoy the travel and the camping that you'll be doing on a full-time basis. Next up is inconvenience. It is a huge part of full-time RVing. Almost everything is inconvenient. If you need groceries, food, shopping for almost any item you can imagine, well, in very many cases, it's not going to be nearby, especially if you're a boondocker. Well, you're going to have to really travel in many cases to get somewhere to get what you need, the staples of life, and then any other things that you want in life as well. You might as well get used to driving at least a half an hour or even more, like an hour, to get to places where it would only take you 5 or 10 minutes to go down to get your groceries or whatever when you lived in a sticks and bricks home. Things are not convenient. Now, if that's going to really bother you, then you need to think about that before you get into full-time RVing. The last point I'm going to consider today is overcrowding. There has been a huge increase in the number of RVers, period, in the last few years, and the COVID pandemic just shot that number right through the roof. The problem is many of them are just new RVers who don't know RVing etiquette. So in RV parks, in national parks, you're going to find that they're very often overcrowded these days. It's harder to get reservations. It's harder to travel without reservations. But you may also find that it can be unpleasant at times to be around your fellow RVers in those cases, especially if they're newer RVers like that. So be aware of that, and be aware that there are challenges involved with overcrowding in RV parks, campgrounds, and national parks. But that's not only the place. Also, boondocking. If you plan on doing a lot of boondocking, that's what's in your mind. Well, I'm going to get away from civilization altogether. That's a great thing, but be aware of this. The sad truth is, yes, there are plenty of boondocking spots still available, but some of the very best ones have been ruined, and you cannot go back there anymore. Why? Because of those same thoughtless, rude, and inconsiderate RVers that I just talked about went through the area and repeatedly ruined it. And as a result, you just simply can't go there anymore. Now, if that kind of thing really bothers you and gets under your skin, think about it before you get involved in RVing. The final point about overcrowding is all of this has created a huge demand for campsites, and RV parks and campgrounds are trying to fill that. The demand is high, so they can charge more for their campsites. Also, as a result of all of this huge demand, they have to expand. They have to upgrade, and when they do, the costs are going to be passed along to us as RVers. Well, understand then that the cost of campsites is going to go up year after year after year. This is not going to be a big surprise for you. So as a result of that, I recommend consider how to use camping memberships to your advantage to try to control the increasing costs of campgrounds. We personally are very glad because we made one of our best decisions in buying a 1,000 Trails campground membership. It has saved us so much money over the years, you just can't even believe it. So at whatever you do, try to think about ways to keep the cost of camping and campsites as low as possible. Well, all of this is information that I wanted to share with you to help you know the truth about full-time RVing and be better prepared for it. Here's what I recommend. You need to be, first of all, a person who can afford full-time RVing because it's not always cheap. You need to be flexible to change because full-time RVing is about almost nothing but change. Things are always changing. So you need to be able to do that. You need to be a problem solver because, again, you're going to face one problem after another, one challenge. Almost every day brings something you have to solve in order to continue on. You also need to be patient because all of this inconvenience can really wear on you. And if you're not patient, it will really frustrate you. So the more patience you can develop, the better you're going to love the lifestyle. The last point is really the most important. You need to be persistent. You need to persist right on through all these challenges that I've talked about. Because if you are persistent, then you can enjoy the lifestyle. You will be able to get through all of the problems and challenges, and you'll find the fun and enjoyment in full-time RVing because it certainly is there. Well, I hope what I've covered in this video has helped share the truth with you, help educate you about what you can reasonably expect to see if you go out full-time RVing. And hopefully it will help you make a great decision now about whether full-time RVing and whether the lifestyle is really for you personally or not. And that's it for now. Have safe and happy travels, my friends. Until next time.